Hello, I'm Byyyeeee. Welcome to my first tutorial ever! I am so excited to finally feel like I have something to teach you! Fun backgrounds. They can be as easy as searching for your screen resolution, make a canvas of that size, paint it with your favorite color and boom! You just made a minimalist fun background. If you want to draw something in it, I suggest you double the resolution for your canvas so you get crisp lines. It didn't occur to me to do this until I finished mine, so if I get too close it gets a bit blurry, but it looks decent enough as the background. What I want to teach you today is how to make a background taking the screen grid into consideration. I found this really cute background on Pinterest, set it as my background and suffered, because no matter what type of grid I changed it to, I couldn't fit the apps into these squares! I was sad for a minute until I realized we artists have the hands of creation. If I have the capacity of drawing pregante Donald Trump, then I can definitely make a fun background. The first problem that I encountered was that I couldn't, for the life of me, find the screen grid anywhere. Could have been a searching skill issue, but either way, I'll try to make your life easier by giving you my grids templates and the background I made. If you want it. I have an Android phone though with a screen ratio of 19.5 by 9. I don't know if it will fit your screen, but if you want them, they will be on my Pinterest page, Byyyeeee, in the background tutorial folder, so you can download them for free. I've only owned Samsung phones, so I don't really know how the rest work. Sorry, I really hope they're similar. Now, if you have a different screen ratio, let me show you how to make your own grid template. First, search for your home screen settings. For Android, you just keep your finger on the screen and the menu will pop up. Then you go to the settings and it will directly take you to the home screen settings. If you can't do that, you can go to the regular settings, then scroll down to home screen, you tap that and then you're there. Here you can change the home screen grid, the apps grid, and the folder grid. Since we're making a background, we'll focus on the home screen grid. Choose the one you like the most, tap on save, and then go back to your home screen. Don't try to use these images to make your grid template. I don't know why, but they don't have the same ratio as the screen. I tried. For the next step, I'll need you to change your background to something with light colors that are not gray. When that's done, with one hand, you're gonna press long on one of the apps on the home screen until you pick it up. If you move it a little bit, you're going to notice a few gray dots appear. That's your grid. Then, with the other hand, without letting go of the app, you'll have to take a screenshot. It took me a few tries, but it is possible. Congratulations! You just finished the hard part. Now you just have to send that picture to the device you're going to use to paint your background. In my case, I send it to myself via email to work on my tablet. To create your canvas, you'll need to know what resolution does your phone screen has. You can search that on Google with your phone model. Mine is 2340 by 1080 pixels. Since I want crisp lines, I'll make my canvas double that. So now it will be 4680 by 2160 pixels. I do not like to say numbers in English. If your device cannot handle bigger sizes and doesn't let you work comfortably, then you stick to the original resolution. Now, you can definitely use the screenshot as a grid template, but since it has other elements in it, it can be a bit distracting, so let's make a clean one. After you've created your canvas, import the screenshot as a layer. It should fit perfectly. Add another layer on top of that and start tracing your grid. This you can do however you like. I followed and joined the gray dots with a straight line, but you can just trace the dots if you want. You can use the grid like this, but if you want to include these bottom icons in your design, you can draw the grid by hand, trying to make it as symmetrical as possible, or you can use one of the other grid sizes if one of them fit. Since I have 4 icons, the 4x5 grid works really well, so that's what I'll be using. I suggest that you trace that with a different color to make your life easier, because there's a lot of lines. and align it with the rest of the grid. Hi, Editing Quixie here. While I was drawing the rest of the grids, the 4x6, 5x5 and 5x6, I discovered the sin that the apps aren't centered in the grids. So after you make your lines, you have to move it a little bit until the apps are in the dead center, how it should be. Then erase the screenshot layer and you're left with a beautiful, clean grid template. Here you can decide if you want it like this, or in a different way. Please export this as a. Do not make my mistake. I started to sketch the background on the wrong layer and I had to make my grid template again. It's not difficult, but it is annoying. When you use it, make sure to lock that layer, like a fairy tale princess. Now you have the one tool you'll need to make a grid-based background. The rest is up to you. You can make something like this, or this, or this. Make it as simple or as detailed as you want. In this next part, I'll give you general directions and tips on how I made this background. You can copy me if you want. Copying is how we learn to do stuff, but if you're not an art pepe, then it's best if you give your own spin to it. Also, I didn't record the process because this wasn't going to be a video until I looked at the results and felt proud of it. I took both the idea and the color palette from Pinterest. I sinned and I forgot to save the images, so now I don't know who made them. I'm so sorry. Since this has related images in the blank squares, there's a different ways to design this. You can pick a theme first. In this case was dessert, but it could be flowers like in the original, or pets, or fruits, and then you pick a color palette that fits said theme. Or you can pick a color palette and then pick elements that are of that color, like a yellow, orange and green color palette, and draw citrus for the blank squares. Or you can pick your favorite colors and favorite things and do whatever you want. The background is yours after all. Just maybe don't pour R18 things in there, just in case your abuela sees your background by accident. Tip: if you're not sure if your grid is correct, try your blank grid template as your background. These few minutes can save you hours. The least you want is to spend hours on your background just to realize that the apps don't fit, so make sure you try it first. Now that you've decided what color palette and theme you're going to use, let's start with a sketch to map everything out. The first thing we have to do is to sketch the squares. Next, we're going to decide what is going to be a block of color. It could be checkered, lines, diagonals, the sides, the center, etc. Now we can fill every blank square with an item, or leave some empty. I chose to fill them all because I wanted to draw a lot of things, but since I used strong colors for the palette, it looks a little bit busy for me. You have to search for a second where the icons are, but if the color were more muted or pastels, then there would be no problem. With that done, we can make a few sketches of what we want to draw. In my case, I wanted a cupcake, a slice of cake, boba, ice cream, brazo de reina, I don't know how you call them in English, queen's arm, dango and other stuff. Then go find references. References make everything better. Now we start with the fun part, drawing. I started with the blocks of color. With the lasso tool and the bucket, I filled them and then made a mask layer on top of that to see how to rearrange the colors. I used watercolor brushes that I bought from Garcia Art, I don't know how he pronounced it. I rounded the corners because it made it look more organic, and then added seams because I was thinking in pieces of cloth. For the desserts, I was debating if I should have used line art or not. Eventually, it felt better not to use them, so I looked at the references very carefully and managed to make pretty good paintings, if you ask me. I did use the line art brush to make the highlights, made a huge difference. I also painted the white squares with a lighter version of this beige, the struggle of an artist. I spent 15 minutes searching for the perfect color and you can barely see it. To make this look a bit flat, so I added some shadows to the squares and to the deserts. This is purely preference based on what I felt was best. This one looked fantastic without the shadows, so you may not need them. To top it off, I gave it an extra detail by adding a watercolor paper texture in Multiply to the very top layer. And ta-da! Now you have a background. Now I have to find a way to do the same with my desktop and I'll be complete. I hope this helped you in some way. Have a great week. Bye bye!